Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, we're going to learn how to use Microsoft Power BI API in Python. So using Power BI REST API, we'll be able to do quite many things. We can manage our Power BI content, perform admin operations, and embed Power BI content. And these are some of the information related to the Power BI API. And I'll post all the links that I'll be using in the description below. On the left are some of the features that we can access via the API. And for example, if we go into datasets category, we can do things like delete a dataset, get a dataset. And I'll cover other features that I think are useful in future videos. But for now, I want to show you how to set up the API and how to connect to the endpoint. Now I want to go to the register an Azure AD application to use with Power BI's page. On this page, you can find the instruction below, which is going to take you to each step. But I feel like the instruction is a little bit too confusing because there are a couple steps I feel like the documentation is missing. Alright, so anyway, let's go back to the top. Alright, so I want to scroll to register an Azure AD app section. Now click on one of these tabs. Then click on Power BI App Registration Tool. And that takes you to this Set up your Power BI embedding environment page. Depending on your use case, if you're a developer or if you are developing a report for a customer, then you will choose Embedded for your customers. But if you are a system admin that works for a company, then you will choose Embedded for your organization. And since I'm a developer, I'm going to click on Embedded for your customers. Alright, so for step 1, you want to sign into your account, which I already did. Then click on Next. Now I want to create an app. Now I'll give your app a name, and I'll name this app Power BI Yosemite. Then I want to choose the permissions that I want to grant to this app. And for demonstration purpose, I'm going to select all. Then click on Register. Right, so we have officially created the app. Now step 2 is optional. Do you want to create a new workspace to specifically to work with the API? And I'm going to say yes. Then I'm going to give this workspace a name. And let's call this workspace Power BI Yosemite workspace. And you have a typo. Step 4 is also optional. Do you have an existing Power report that you want to upload to the workspace from step 3? And for this exercise, I'm going to choose Sample Power BI Report. Then click on Import. And the last step, which is going to be step 5, is the most important step, which is to grant permission to the app. And make sure that you consent everything. Then click on Accept. Now we have officially finished setting up the app from this app.powerbi.com's instruction page. And here we have the workspace ID, report ID, and application ID. You can also download a sample application, which I have never done this before, but I'm going to skip the downloading. Alright, so I want to go into my address portal. And you can go to portal.azure.com. In the search field, you want to search for app registrations. And click on app registrations. So by default, it's going to show you the app that you own, but I want to choose all applications. And they'll display all the applications that you have access to. And here's the Power BI Yosemite app that we just created. Now click into the app. Alright, so a couple things. On the left-hand side, I want to go into authentication and scroll towards the bottom. Under the implicit grant and hybrid flows, and make sure that you check the access tokens. And also make sure that you set the allow public client flows to yes, and save the settings. Alright, so just in case if you want to modify the API permissions, you can go into the app and go to API permissions. And here you can add or remove different permission set. Alright, so we have officially finished setting the application. Now we can write the script to connect to Power BI API service. Alright, so here I'm going to create a blank script. And I'll name the script Power_BI demo1. And let me open my VS Code. From the import statement, here let me increase the font size. I'm going to import the requested library. And to generate the access token, make sure that you install the MSL library. And you can use the command pip install msal. And I forgot the name of the library, but if you do a quick Google search, the MSL library is the Microsoft Authentication library that you need to use to verify your account. I'm going to import the MSL library. Now going back to my app, I'm going to click on Overview. On the top are some of the IDs assigned to the app. And we need to grab the application ID, also known as client ID. And I'll copy the ID to my script. I'll name this as app ID. I'll also copy the directory ID, also known as the tenant ID. And I'll name the variable tenant ID. So when we are connecting to Power BI API, we need to provide our username and password to verify our account. And I save my username and my password in a Python script. And let me just copy paste over. And I'm going to import my username and password. Now I want to go back to the app. And if I click on endpoints, I want to grab all the endpoint. So it doesn't matter which endpoint that you copied. Basically, we're going to delete everything beyond this login.microsoftonline.com. So this is going to be the base URL. And we're going to name this as authority URL. Concatenate with the tenant ID. Then we need to supply the scopes. And for Power BI API, we can simply use this scope called https analysis.windows.net/powerbi/api/default. So we can simply provide this single scope to reference every single permission set that we assign to the app. And to connect to Power BI API, it's a two-step process. The first step is we need to generate the token ID. And the second step is we're going to take the token ID and use that to make a request call. Alright, so it's going to be step 1. Generate Power BI access token. From the MSL library, we want to reference the public client application class And I'll name the output as client. And we're going to assign the app ID. Oops. And the Azure URL to the Azure parameter. And to generate the access token from the client object, we want to insert the acquire token by username password method. And we're going to supply our username, password, and scopes. Now I'm going to run this code block by itself. Oh, so here I have a typo, I think. Let me delete this line here. Right, so if I print the response object, it's going to give me invalid grant. So to solve this issue, I want to go back to Microsoft Azure dashboard. On the top, you want to search for Azure Active Directory. Go into the Azure Active Directory. Then want to scroll down to Properties. And the reason why we're getting the error is because Microsoft Azure by default has multiple layers of security settings that enable. And I want to change the security setting by clicking on Manage Security Defaults. And I want to disable the security defaults. And here we can implement our own security protocol. But for now, I'm going to choose the first option and save. Alright, so if I go back to my Python script, now if I recreate my response object, and this time I'm able to generate the access token successfully. Alright, so from the response output, there are a couple of things we have. If I print the keys, the access token key is going to contain the access ID. And we can also print the scopes that this app has access to. So I can print response, providing the key. And these are the scopes or permission sets that this application is using. For this case, I'm simply only interested in the access key. So I'm going to create a variable called access ID. And from response object that gets, I want to reference access token key to create the tokens ID. Alright, so that's going to be step 1. And step 2 is to make a simple API code to the Power API service. Now going back to the documentation. So at this point, we can basically make an API code to different Power BI API services. Alright, so I'm going to show you one simple script to print my workspace. I'm going to create the endpoint first. And it's going to be https api.powerbi.com. And right now we are still on version 1, so it's going to be v1.0. And the component name is going to be my.org/groups. So here I'm going to create my headers. We need to assign the access token or access ID to the authorization parameter. And I'll make this as f string. Then we need to type bear space followed by the access token. And to make the request code from requesters.get, I'm going to insert the endpoint plus the headers. I'll name the output as response request. And I'll run this code block. Right, so if I put in the response option, oh, it should be response request, not response. And it's going to return status code 200. Here, let me print status code. Alright, so here I want to insert a condition. If the status code is equals to 200, then print the JSON response. And from the response, I can tell that based on this endpoint, the API code is going to return all my workspaces from my Power BI account. If I look at my workspaces, let's do this here. Let's name this as result. For item in result, I want to print, actually, this should be values, because the values key contain the actual content, and it should be singular. Alright, so for item in result, giving the value key, I want to print the workspace name. And looking at the output, these are all my workspaces are currently available in my Power BI account. Alright, so this is going to be everything I'm going to cover in this video, and hopefully you guys found this video useful. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.